Hello, my name is Jim McShirley, and I'm a lifelong resident of Henry County, and my family roots go here back 7 generations to the pre-Civil War era. 3 weeks ago, I was contacted by the president of the Henry County Council, who offered to let me, along with Gary Rogers, give a presentation on Wednesday, October 26th regarding the negative impacts of proposed commercial wind turbine projects. He asked me to give him a title for the presentation, and this is what I gave him. After preparing for over 2 weeks, I was contacted just 2 hours prior to the meeting and told due to alleged time constraints, our presentations would have to be postponed until the November 23rd council meeting. Many who were at the meeting and left work early to hear the presentations, by the way, felt this was politically motivated to silence opposition. It would have been the last chance before the elections for the public to hear what many feel is the most damning evidence of all. They further noted there appeared to be ample time at the council meeting to include our presentations. The following is a presentation some may not have wanted the public to see. Judge for yourself if this is the most compelling argument to not allow turbines into Henry County. I believe this presentation is the kryptonite to any pro-turbine supporters. As the title implies, I intend to show a far superior path of economic growth for Henry County. It was Bill Gates who once said, "We always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. There's probably no better example of that quote than in McCordsville, Indiana. 10 years ago, McCordsville was a sleepy burg barely larger than Sulphur Springs. 8 years ago, things were a little different. Today, McCordsville is now a town with a population half the size of Newcastle. In another 10 years, it is forecast to be much larger than Newcastle. Fortville, Ingalls, Pendleton, and other communities to our west are also seeing this explosive growth. It's as if you can almost smell the prosperity wafting over the border of Henry County. We are severely underestimating the changes coming to this county. Regarding McCordsville, which by the way is at the corner of State Road 234 and 67, just down the road from Shirley, Indiana, there's been over $100 million in new development announced in the last 2 years. A wellness center, a brand new Meijer store, a winery, an upscale assisted living are just some of the new projects that have already been announced. Including Meijer, McCordsville now has more than 350,000 square feet of commercial development set to arrive in the next 2 years. They expect even more once the megastore Meijer is finished and outlots become available. Henry County is right in the crosshairs of this explosive growth, and walling us off with commercial turbines will be disastrous. Look what is coming our way. And look what they're trying to do. In the next 10 minutes, I will show you the stark contrast between choosing a prosperous future, which is equitable for all, and one that will certainly accelerate the decline of Henry County. If the greater metro Indianapolis area becomes a city of 3 million or more people, as studies predict, Henry County can avoid the fate of other counties blanketed with commercial turbines. And I will explain that comment later. Instead, we will become one of the state's biggest winners. Henry County's pristine farmland, affordable living, and easy access to major highways and interstates makes it a hugely valuable parcel of land. As it stands, the plight of Henry County's economic future is attempting to be tied to a fickle alternative energy with fickle government energy policies and fickle, largely foreign wind turbine developers who want to wall us off from the real prosperity coming. I'd like to read a few quotes now from an Indianapolis Star article that was published earlier this year. And what they say, the proposed EPA CO2 rules are fraught with sticky issues, gray areas, and unknowns that could tip in favor of wind or against it, depending on how they're finally written. So much is up in the air, said Joan Soller, Director of Resource Planning at Indianapolis Power and Light. One particularly sticky issue, EPA's proposed Clean Power Plan rules don't give a utility any credit under CO2 lowering mandates for using green energy in its generation portfolio if it buys wind power from outside its home state. If that proviso stands, Indiana's wind industry could be hurt because it currently sells the bulk of its power to non-Indiana utilities. They would be newly motivated to drop their Indiana contracts and buy their green energy from wind farms in their own states. Again, very fickle. In Indiana, the easiest to develop projects have been developed, and much of the best available ground for catching steady wind is taken, so said Tristan Vance, director of the Indiana Office of Energy Development. Though the best sites for wind farms might indeed have been snapped up, the industry has now resorted to much taller, monstrous turbines with much larger blades to capture wind at higher altitudes than the older, smaller turbines. Henry County is being stuck with 500-foot monstrosities because we are not an ideal wind location. Demand for wind energy depends on Congress renewing the federal tax credit that wind developers rely on to be price competitive with other forms of energy. The credit expired at the end of last year, and renewal isn't a given. Without those federal tax credits, commercial turbines are completely uncompetitive and not viable. So once again, fickle policies, fickle energy, and fickle energy companies. As the Indianapolis Star article mentions, Henry County is a second-tier location in regards to wind desirability. Most of the pristine locations have been taken or secured. Calpine and others know this, and being late to the game are trying to secure a seat at the federal tax subsidy table before the music runs out. Turbine pushers know full well the explosive growth potential of Henry County, and they're hoping to wall us off before we become the next Hamilton or Hancock County. And by the way, Hamilton or Hancock County wouldn't want turbines for a Christmas present. So now that we know the shaky and tenuous nature of the turbine industry we're attempting to welcome, let's move on to the prosperous and equitable economic growth we could see for the future. The 11-county Indianapolis-Carmel metro area continues to drive population growth in the state. With an increase of nearly 17,000 residents last year, this region accounted for roughly 78% of Indiana's net growth in 2015. The Indy metro area is home to nearly 2 million people, which represent 30% of the state's population. Okay, if you look at the map now, if you look at the color-coded map, light blue counties are good in terms of population growth. The dark blue counties are very good regarding population growth. On the other hand, the light orange counties are bad, showing declining population, and the dark orange counties show the worst population exodus. We are 20 minutes from blue counties exploding north and eastward. In stark contrast, it's no coincidence that nearly all counties covered with commercial turbines are experiencing population declines. Look to the north. Look to the east. Look where turbines have been installed, and it's primarily dark orange. Pretty grim. So what about future economic growth projections? The 10-county Indianapolis-Carmel metro area has long been the state of the engine's population growth. Between 2000 and 2010, this region added 231,000 residents, which accounted for 57% of the state's total growth. Central Indiana's role will likely become more dominant in the future. Between 2010 and 2030, this metro area's growth will be responsible for 62% of the state total. Over the next 40 years, the region could claim up to 70% of all growth. Again, a city in a metro area of 3 million residents, how could Henry County not win? Hamilton County will continue to be the state's fastest growing county as it doubles in size to 548,000 residents by 2050. If these projections bear out, Hamilton County will surpass Lake and Allen counties to become the state's second largest county. Over the same period, Hendricks County population will climb to 268,000 residents. Boone, Hancock, and Johnson counties, also in the Indy metro area, will round out the state's 5 fastest growing communities. Imagine this, a practically whole new city of 500,000 people just 20 minutes west from our border, and it's not Indianapolis, but it's an entirely new city. How much more exciting can it get if you're Henry County and you play your cards right? Indianapolis donut counties make up 4 of the 5 fastest growing counties in the state, according to census estimates, with Hamilton County leading the state's growth. So that's the good news. In 58 of the 92 counties, however, the population shrunk or stayed flat, the estimate showed. So now we know the winners and now the losers. Falling at the bottom are Union, Tipton, Rush, Fountain, and Randolph counties, having lost 4 to 5% of their population since 2010. A really, really bleak future if you're a wind turbine county. Again, the counties with commercial turbines are experiencing the largest exodus of population, and it's very obvious. So to summarize, economic growth should be equitable for all. The growth right over our border to the west is just that. They say a rising tide lifts all boats. We should emulate that strategy and not choose a plan that favors the few at the expense of future generations of Henry County. Calpine and others are wanting to steal Henry County's future. It would be folly to wall us off with industrial turbines. So the question is, where do we see ourselves in 10, 20, or 40 years? I prepared a quick little visual tour of our neighbors to the west for guidance. This is the new Saxony St. Vincent Hospital. It's a state-of-the-art facility, and it's right on the Southeastern Parkway exit, right off of I-69. This is the new Hancock Regional Wellness Center, right in downtown McCordsville. This is the new Pendleton Heights Middle School, just 7 minutes from Henry County's border. The explosive growth has nearly filled another brand new facility at Pendleton Heights, and by the way, they've done a tremendous job of handling the explosive growth in that school system. This is the new Meijer going up in McCordsville, Indiana. This is the new Chevrolet dealer right around the corner from Meijer at State Road 234 and 67 down the road from Shirley, Indiana. This is the new Holiday Inn Express at the Southeastern Parkway exit. They're estimating 6 to 8 more new hotels may be going into that exit in the next several years. And another Holiday Inn Express, some think, may even be at the Pendleton exit, not too far off. This is a bed and breakfast in McCordsville. With the new population and the upscale things going on, a bed and breakfast is now prospering in Fortville, Indiana. This is a home just right across the Henry County border. This county road in Hancock County has several homes of $1 million or more on one single county road. If you drive out in that area, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of homes with assessed valuations of $500,000 or more. This is the IKEA going in at 106th Street in Fishers. IKEA does their homework and they identify the most explosive population growth, and they believe that Fishers is one of the most explosive potential growth in the entire United States, and that's why they're putting it there. None of this growth you're seeing existed 10 years ago. Most of it didn't even exist 5 years ago. Some of it is going on right now, and all of it is within a stone's throw of our beautiful border. So what will it be? Will it be new hospitals and schools and equitable commerce, or rather industrial turbines, declining population, and lost opportunity? The answers lie 20 minutes west of our borders. Rather than being desperate for revenue, we can be choosy about what growth is best for Henry County. A field trip to the northeast side of Indy would be far more beneficial than any trip to a turbine site. If he's not doing it, the Henry County EDC director should be spending a lot of time canvassing the northeast side of Indy and learning what they are doing right. He should then begin immediately sowing the seeds for all of Henry County's future and not just a select few at the expense of the rest of the population. One day, Henry County could also be known as a donut county. The choice is obvious. Don't let them wall us off.